What to do, YouTube? Welcome into the Miami Dolphins training camp takeaways. We're on day 10, if I'm not mistaken. You don't know how angry I am, to be quite honest with you, about the event that happened over the weekend. We're probably going to touch on it probably closer to the end of the video. But training camp day 10. We're going to sit back and talk about a couple of injuries. Obviously, going to start off with Rashad Jones ended up being in the boot. There have been some speculations of the fact that he may not be ready for day 1 of the regular season. To be quite honest with you, Rashad Jones, that man is a warrior, man. Like, we sat back and saw him with a torn bicep, played a whole year with a torn bicep, and literally came out and had over 130 plus tackles. So I honestly, I think that he'll be ready for week 1. But I am a little bit concerned, though, because when I sit back and look at this defense, all the reports coming out of Miami as far as also the depth chart is coming out today too, I just don't see where Rashad fits in this defense, to be quite honest with you. But we're gonna touch bases on that probably a little bit later as we go towards the first preseason game against the Falcons this week. But Devontae Parker had a sleeve on his leg. You know, that's always a concern when Devontae Parker gets hurt. It's like, ooh, we always got to cringe a little bit with Devontae Parker, considering the fact of his injury history. Jerome Baker ended up being hurt today in practice. That is a little bit of a concern too as well, because Jerome Baker, honestly, I think he's probably the most valuable player on the Miami Dolphins defense, considering the fact that he could be that versatile. He could rush the passer. He can be in coverage. He can stop the run. Like, Jerome Baker is the most versatile player probably outside of Minkah Fitzpatrick on his defense that can make some plays. So with Jerome Baker being hurt, that's a little bit of a concern. But again, we're going to sit back and monitor that as we get closer to the Atlanta Falcons game. Also, Jakeem Grant is still injured. Albert Wilson, obviously, he's coming back from that hip injury. Of course, I would think they're going to sit back and take their time as far as bringing Albert Wilson back to the lineup, because the hip injury is really nothing to play with, like we spoken about before with Mike Pouncey over the years. That has been like an injury that has lingered, and we want to make sure that Albert Wilson is 100% before we actually, continuously put that workload on him. Starting offensive line for today, we had Laremy Tunsil, Michael Dieter, Daniel Kilgore, Shaq Calhoun, and Jesse Davis again at the right tackle position. Okay, so we're starting to have a little bit of consistency at the offensive line here. Now with Shaq Calhoun, I'm a little suspect about that, to be quite honest with you. Is he really playing that well that he's outplaying Chris Reed, or we just still experimenting here? Like, I'm curious about that. That's why I'm so excited that I get to see this first preseason game with the starting offensive line out there, and I get to look at Shaq Calhoun. And I literally will be looking at Shaq Calhoun hard and really get a good evaluation on him. Like, I was so disappointed over the weekend, man. Like, I'm pretty sure like the majority of you heard this story already. Literally, I was going to the training camp Saturday. Like, I literally Ubered all day on Friday just so I can afford another rental car, because rental cars ain't cheap. So I Ubered all day on Friday, excuse me. I got home around like 1 o'clock. The flight was at 5. So we drove all the way down to the airport. And the airport is not like 20-minute ride. We're talking about 45 minutes to an hour ride to get to the airport. So I literally realized I didn't have my wallet. So literally I had to drive all the way back home to go get my wallet, to go back to the airport to go get to try to make the flight. Luckily I got back at 4:30, 4:45 ish, somewhere around that. Flight's at 5. So the first flight, I ended up not making it on that flight, because apparently they was backed up from the night before, and they ended up not even, the people ended up having to re-rolled on the flight towards this morning, so I didn't get a chance to get that flight. And then apparently they was just so backed up. The next flight was at 6. I missed that flight because they overbooked that flight. And then the flight after that, there was a third flight. That was the last straw for me with the third flight. I was like, you know what? This is dead. I'm going home. And then luckily Banks texted me saying that the scrimmage was canceled as far as for the public. So I was like, oh my goodness, I literally was here for like 6 hours for no reason. I ended up missing the scrimmage, but I was literally looking forward to going to that scrimmage because I wanted to see Josh Rosen. I wanted to see the offensive line. But getting off topic, let's go ahead and get into the top performers of the practice today, and that's Kenyon Drake. People, I still got to make that Kenyon Drake video. Like, it's really at the top of my list about that Kenyon Drake video because it just seems like people have just turned the tide on Kenyon Drake. Like, they just loathe Kenyon Drake. I don't know why we're loathing Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake has sat back and delivered every single time. Yes, he gets stopped in the backfield. Yes, he dances around in the backfield, but still, like I said in the training camp video, man, like if you give him an opportunity, he's going to take advantage of the opportunity. Like, I just don't get it with some of y'all fans that sit back and be like, we want Kalen Ballage to start. We want Kalen Ballage to start. Kenyon Drake does not. Kenyon Drake is not that good. Like, that is just crazy to me, man. That is literally just crazy. How you just gonna throw him under the bus like that? Like, he just made one of the biggest plays of Miami Dolphins history. And y'all just throwing him under the bus. And as soon as the 2019 season starts, like, it's just crazy to me. But yeah, he's the top performer for today's training camp practice. Bobby McCain. One thing I'm liking for Bobby McCain is consistency at the safety position. I didn't question his ability to tackle, but that sack that he had today, him being around the box area, shows his versatility. That not only he could play the deep safety, but he could also come down in the box and make a tackle. Obviously, in the nickel corner position, that's something that you're 9 times out of 10 required to do, but I didn't see that on a consistent basis with Bobby McCain. But after reading the report about that, I'm starting to really think that, you know, him back, well, like I said, back then he ended up being the highest paid corner in the league, but I really think this is going to work out for Bobby McCain as far as him playing safety moving forward. Preston Williams had a couple of big catches today in training camp. It's crazy how you sit back and look at this wide receiver group, and like, it's just so much depth. It's just so much depth. Like, I really don't even know how this is going to end up going. Like, perhaps one of our big receivers that have been on the roster for quite some time are going to end up getting traded. I don't know. But, or maybe they're just going to sit back and rotate the receivers like they did last year with Adam Gase, where you had sometimes you had Jakeem Grant on the field, Albert Wilson, and Leonte Carew on the field, and Devontae Parker on the field. Like, Adam Gase just rotated the receivers a lot, but perhaps they're going to end up rotating the receivers a lot again this year. Well, time will tell. Also, Josh Rosen still showing that consistent, putting a great string of practices together where I wouldn't exactly say he caught up to Ryan Fitzpatrick yet, but if he continues the success, throwing the ball down the field, showing confidence when he throws the ball, because, you know, at the beginning he was checking the ball down, and I felt like that was just a confidence issue and lack of trust in the offensive line, because the timer in his head is telling him he don't have that much time to throw the ball, so the first read that you get rid of it quick. So that's how I felt about Josh Rosen. But I think over time, Josh Rosen, hopefully during this preseason game, he will get that idea in his head that this isn't the Arizona Cardinals offensive line. I'll be able to get this ball down the field. Outside of that, man, we got the depth chart, man. We got the depth chart, the first depth chart. A couple of these things on this depth chart I'm a little sketchy about. Like, I'm literally scratching my head about a couple of these moves on the depth chart. Of course, the starting quarterback is going to be Ryan Fitzpatrick. Like I said, Josh Rosen hasn't did anything to exactly close the gap yet. He's right. I think he's close, though. I think if he strings together a couple more practices, I think that he can take the job. We got like 5 weeks left, 6 weeks left, something like that. So I think he can close the gap. I'm like I said, I'm still rooting for Josh. Like, I'm trying to put him in every single possible position to succeed. Offensive line, they have Jordan Mills sitting at right tackle, which, to be honest with you, he hasn't been the starter since they got rid of the old offensive lines coach. They have Jesse Davis sitting at the right guard position, and then Kilgore, of course, is going to play center, and they have Michael Dieter and Laramie Tunsil. Honestly, you might as well just throw Michael Dieter in there as the full-time starter, you know, to get him that experience, because I think you you have a chance of being able to save a roster spot as far as going into free agency, going into the draft. Like, you might as well just throw Michael Dieter in there. Considering how he's outperforming all the other guards, it's looking pretty much like a lock that you might as well just roll with Michael Dieter. Now, Jordan Mills, well, I'm like, the same thing with Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm going to use the same thing for Jordan Mills. We already seen what Jordan Mills could possibly be. Honestly, I don't think Jordan Mills is a starter in this league. Like, he's a plug-and-play type of guy. At this rate, if I had to choose who should be the starting right tackle, you might as well just put Jesse Davis in there at this particular point and then just, roll the dice on the guard position, whether it be Shaq Calhoun or Chris Reed, or if you decide you want to put Jordan Mills at the right tackle position. But I'm still sitting back and I'm still rooting for Isaiah Prince to somehow rise up and just take that first team right tackle and then kick Jesse Davis to the right guard position where he struggles to be at, but I guess I'll accept that. At the running back position, you got Kenyon Drake and Kalen Ballage, kind of like in like a 1A and 1B type situation. Honestly, I think this is going to be like a running back type. I think that the running backs are going to be based off the matchup that they get that week as far as opponent. That's who's going to have the hot hand. So if we have an opportunity where the defense is weak in the middle, I feel like Kalen Ballage is going to have a big game. We're in the ball in between the tackles. If the opposing defense struggles against receiving backs, I think Kenyon Drake has the hot hand. Like it goes. I think it's going to go week to week. Basically, what I'm saying to you, it's going to go week to week. I think it's going to switch up based on how the defense matches up against the running back. Tight end, you got Gesicki and O'Leary and Smythe. All three of those guys are kind of like close. And then, of course, Dwayne Allen's like last on the depth chart, but I can see that considering the fact that he's been injured over the course of training camp. At the receiver position, as far as the depth chart, you have Kenny Stills, Devontae Parker, Albert Wilson is in here, Jakeem Grant is in here, but both of those guys are injured. So I would think, they have Isaiah Ford up here. They have Trenton Irwin, and they have Preston Williams last. Okay, Preston Williams is sitting back last, but I really don't think that's true because I hear a lot more about Preston Williams more than I hear about Irwin or Ford. So I would think that Williams would probably be like the fifth receiver. I most definitely think Preston Williams is going to make the roster anyway. So let's not even beat around the bush about that. Moving on to the defense. I think they came out with the base 4-3 with Charles Harris, Christian Wilkins at defensive tackle, Devon Godchild, and Tank Carradine at the other end position. And of course, I think they're going to end up, rotating Vincent Taylor in there and rotating Hakeem Spence in there somewhere. They got a lot of depth at the defensive tackle position. I'm gonna like it. Like everybody's going to have an opportunity to be fresh and be able to get some snaps. So at the linebacker position, like I said, it's in the 4-3. So you got three linebackers. You got Jerome Baker, you have Raekwon McMillan, and Sam McGuavin. Raekwon McMillan, I think that he's going to be in there for, running down situations, that 4-3 base package, the 3-4 base package. And then once we get to the nickel and dime, I think Sam McGuavin is going to end up being that main guy at linebacker because he's just so much better in coverage. And I'm surprised that Kiko Alonso wasn't in this starting lineup. Maybe that's right on the wall for Kiko Alonso. I know Kiko Alonso ends up struggling against the pass. That's a big issue. Kiko Alonso last year and the year before that really struggled against the pass. So I was thinking like maybe he will have a breakout season considering the fact that, hey, we're going back to the 3-4. That's something that he thrived in with the Buffalo Bills. I thought that he was going to end up, stealing the show and end up having a starting spot, but he's not even listed as a starter. Again, to be honest with you, I really don't think this depth chart is really, really accurate. So don't quote me on this. But the secondary, you have Eric Rowe and Xavier Howard as the boundary corners. You have Fitzpatrick and you have Bobby McCain at the safety position, and they have TJ McDonald as a rotational as far as like in different packages. So most likely he'll be like that hybrid linebacker type safety type deal. But outside of that, man, that's the depth chart for you. Like I said, like I don't really think the depth chart is very, very accurate if you look at it, to be quite honest with you. I think this is just like some crap that was just thrown together if I'm just evaluating it based off of what I see. But yeah, man, that's training camp takeaways day 10, man. Let me know what you guys think. Also, be sure to check out the Miami Dolphins Connected franchise. I'm gonna be on that joint is dope, man. That joint is dope. But let me know what you guys think. You know what it is. If you enjoyed the content, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. This is GreatOne DeVore. I'm up out of here.